Okay, another very quick rogue video. I was going to do this one on the forum and kind of type up a message, but I just find videos a little bit more involved and almost respectful rather than me kind of going on the forum and saying this doesn't work, I suggest this kind of thing. So I just want you to know that I've played, considered everything, and played it and experienced it and everything. And I just want to talk about one ability today, and that is the unstable mixture. So all the rogue abilities at the moment, the vast majority of the rogue abilities at the moment feel really cool. I can sort of see a purpose and a use for all of them. Even things like shadow planning, you can make a case for using shadow planning, and it's an alternative direction to kind of use all your resources and get combat underway, or fight in a combat in different ways. However, unstable mixture, this is one of the abilities that's just really bugging me in terms of how and when to use it and everything. So I just want to talk about that a little bit. So you've got four options with unstable mixture. It costs 2 opportunity, and you throw a vial at the creature's feet, which is a really cool effect. It's kind of like little glowy green spell effects around the mob. And you have one of 4 abilities which can trigger when it lands. So you can either reduce the enemy's dodge rating by 20% for 10 seconds. You can increase your personal critical chance by 5% for 10 seconds. You can have techniques against the target, have a 50% reduction in cooldown. Now I don't know whether that is myself or the group as well. I've tried asking, but it's been a bit difficult to kind of pin down whether that does actually work for the group as well. Or you can cause the enemy to flee in fear for 5 seconds. Now, there was a period of time when this whole ability was brilliant, and that was when the causing the enemy to flee in fear was changed to causing the enemy to cower in fear. So Jopper, in one of his streams recently, has spoken about the 2 different types of fear. You have the fleeing in fear, and then you have cowering in fear. So cowers in fear, so it flees in fear for 5 seconds. Now, that's one of the things that I'm not big on is the chance for it to do something. So the chance for something to happen, you've got a number of layers. So you've got the resist at the beginning, so you automatically you have a chance for this to go off anyway. In pretty much all abilities, even like the melee abilities like backstab, you have a chance to do a backstab because the mob might dodge, you might miss, it might get parried, blah 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 blah. So there's always a chance anyway. And then for it to have another chance to do something, so here we've got a 1 in 4 chance of it creating an ability or having something happen to the mob. So that's always like a double stipulation. You've got a second layer down there for something to happen. And the 4 different buffs or debuffs, you can sort of split into two different categories. So you have the beneficial ones. They're all beneficial, but you can have the beneficial ones, which are reduce the enemy's dodge rating for 20%. Okay, so that's something happening to the NPC, and it's stopping them. It's creating more DPS basically, because they're not dodging as many attacks. And then the other one, which is also applying to the NPC, is causing them to flee in fear, which is removing the damage that they are putting out. So that's two negatives in different ways that help the fight in terms of affecting the NPC, and then the other 2 are affecting yourself. So there's increasing the critical chance, so you're improving your DPS, and also directly improving your DPS. And then also techniques have a 50% reduction in cooldown, but it's only for 10 seconds. So that is indirectly increasing your DPS. So what I would... Right, before we get to what I would suggest, the causing the enemy to flee in fear. When you're fighting in the spider caves here, for instance, if you're throwing this down, and worst case scenario, because it is the worst of the 4 effects really, worst case scenario, you throw it down 1 in 4 times, the mob is going to run away. Now it's it's going to run away at full speed. And in the spider caves, most of the time it's not too bad because it's going to turn away and run up the path rather than turn and run towards the cave itself. But it's disrupting the group. It's disrupting where everybody is. It's more of a hindrance than beneficial. So rather than having 5 seconds of damage going in on the tank, you've then got to you've just got to reposition everybody in the group around the new position of the mob because it's run away. If you then take this to the goblin caves, the mob is then running away towards its mates in pretty much any direction, and it's going to bring in an ad, so you can't use it in the goblin caves. If you do it up at the manor, then it's going to run away as long as you. If you're fighting it right out on the far stretches, pulled far away from the other mobs, it's going to be running around all over the place. Not particularly creating an ad, but again, just being an annoyance for the group because you've got to, maybe you were healing somebody, or maybe the healer was healing the tank, and then suddenly the tank is chasing the mob and he's gone out of range. It's a real annoyance sort of ability that lands on a mob, and then you can take it up to things like Mad Run, where it's going to be running off. If you're down in the hole at Mad Run, and the spiders run off, it's not going to be bringing one mate, it's going to be bringing 18. It's a pain. So because of the downside, this is never used. I haven't used it. I haven't even bought it in this season. That's a lie. I have bought it because I wanted to check for this. I wanted to check for this video, but I only bought it for this video. So the downsides of this far outweigh the risk versus reward of using it to maybe get 20% reduce enemies' dodge rating. So you're helping the whole group by increasing their DPS for 10 seconds. So what I would suggest and what I would like to see is having a look at this and seeing that there are two different types of buff / debuff / effect that you've got on this. You've got effects on the NPC which benefit yourself, and then effects on the NPC which negatively benefit it. So debuffs it. So you're causing it to run away, and you're also reducing its dodge rating. So they've got debuffs on the mob. And then you've also got debuffs which benefit you, which are the increased crit chance and the reduction of the cooldowns for your techniques, which is really, really cool. Now the easy fix would be good to go back to cause the enemy to cower in fear for 5 seconds, and that is reducing it hitting you, so you're not getting hit for 5 seconds, but in a much safer way, if that makes sense. If you do that, it makes the ability amazing, and you sort of use it as much as you can. Now, the other thing is that could you use this to kind of fear kite if you're soloing? You kind of can, but you can't guarantee that it's going to go off. So even if you're soloing, it's not reliable. So it's not a reliable way of using your resources to solo mobs, and also it costs 2 opportunity as well. So the argument that, well, the mob should be snared when you're casting this, or when you're casting this, because if it does flee, then you are lowering its flee speed. It costs 2 opportunity. So if you're going into a fight stealthed, you're hitting Sinister Strikes, which removes all your opportunity. In a perfect world, I like to hit Sinister Strikes and then at least get my opportunity back up to 2, so that I can use Bloodletter, which removes my opportunity. That costs 2 opportunity, removes 2 opportunity back down, and then you're casting Blackjack, which gives you more opportunity again. So now you've got 2 opportunity. Now, do you use Caltrops, which is costs 1 opportunity? So if you're casting Caltrops, then that's your 1 opportunity. You don't have enough opportunity to cast this. If you're casting this, without having Caltrops down, you've used all your opportunities, so now you can't cast Caltrops, and the mob might be running away as well. So there's a resource a way of spending your resources which make this really awkward as well. Maybe it is aimed to be later in the fight, but 16-second cooldown for Blackjack Kick. You're always going to be using Bloodletter because that's kind of a little bit of free extra DPS, which is really, really useful. Same with like the Twin Fangs things. So the use for it and the resource cost and everything is also kind of creates those little issues during the fight. Now, moving on to what I think would be an interesting way of splitting it and seeing what we could do with it. If this was split into two abilities, where you could have one of them reduces the enemy's dodge and causes the enemy to fear and flee. Now that is now a 50-50 chance of something happening that you have a little bit more control over. So you can cause it to flee in fear or cower in fear or anything like that, or reduce its dodge rating. So that's something that's happening physically to that mob. And then another ability that increases your crit chance and reduces your technique cooldown on the mob. So they're two different things that you could do. You could also, and this is a really exciting thing that I would like to see, and I know that we've only got up to level 20 at the moment, so in the future I think it would be really cool to see, and I'm sure you will, wink wink, have more poisons in the game. I think it would be really cool to have some of these effects as a poison ability, so you could have synthetic toxin on one of your weapons and then maybe another poison on your other weapon, which reduces the enemy dodge rating by 20% for 10 seconds. That would be a really cool paralyze, if you like, so it paralyzes one of its arms. Maybe it then causes the enemy to cower or flee in fear. If you put that on your weapon and you had a fear type proc on your weapon, that gives you a chance for it to proc, but your procs, you kind of have a little bit of control over your proc, because it does happen. I mean, you can see in the background here how many times synthetic toxin is kind of kicking in. Okay, it's only hitting for one, but like hopefully that will level with us as well. But it does proc a fair amount, so if you could have a poison which procs fear, then that could be interesting for soloing. It could be interesting for certain occasions in a group where you maybe can get when we get necromancers in and we have a snare directly from a necromancer, so we could fear with a proc and it'd be a little bit more controllable. But having the we're running away because something bad's happened. Maybe having the fear on a more controllable ability that's not a chance, a 1 in 4 chance that it might fear, because then you are in a situation where you have more control over what is happening to the mob. So I hope that makes sense. Just the side effect of rogue poisons. I think rogue poisons are incredibly exciting, and I think you could have all sorts of different abilities, debuffs, and buffs coming through on the rogue poisons. And this unstable mixture, I think we could split this down, have the unstable mixture increase crit chance and reduce the cooldown, and then split the other two off and put them on poisons. I think that would be my way to go. I think that would be a really interesting thing to do. But unstable mixture as a whole, 2 opportunity. Blackjack Kick gives you 2 opportunity, but it's on a 16-second cooldown, so you're only going to be doing this one at the best, like 16 seconds into a fight, which would be maybe useful if it was switched around. Like I say, if it was cause the enemy to cower in fear for 5 seconds, it makes it really useful. But then also, what useful is it? Like, you don't know which one of these is happening. So clicking a button and then the chance, a 1 in 4 chance of something happening, and then you've got to kind of check and have a look. Like, if the cooldown one pops, it doesn't pop up and have a different icon. It just has unstable mixture, and then you can, if you hover over it, it says, oh, the enemy is fleeing in fear, or techniques have got a 50% cooldown. There's nothing visually that tells you that. and to kind of keep an eye on your cooldowns. Like it works for us because we're going to do it, and we're going to throw this one down, and then you've got to keep an eye on what the effect is, and maybe the cooldowns have lowered, and you can click your cooldowns a little bit quicker, click your abilities a little bit quicker. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble now, but that's the idea. I just wanted to put that one out there, and I thought, like I say, videos I find a little bit more inviting and less, you've done this wrong, I don't like it, this is what I think, without any kind of background. So yeah, I would like to do some more videos on these kind of things, and I'm just picking out like individual abilities which I think need a little bit of a tweak. Yeah, there we go. So that's my little video on unstable mixture. And please, a little request at the end there for more rogue poisons, which I'm sure will come. We've got another 30 levels of rogues to have abilities for. So there we go. Thank you very much, and I will see you on Terminus or in Terminus and on the Discord. Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye.